Ruth Nash is a 34-year-old woman. When she was 18 weeks pregnant with twins, her waters broke, which resulted in the premature birth of the babies. The young mom was told that her infants had no chance of surviving as they were too little. Unfortunately, Ruth lost her daughter Matilda a few days after she was born. She was able to postpone the birth of her baby Stanley by 3 weeks, only from lying down with elevated feet in her hospital bed. Her other twin, Stanley, came to this world after 24 weeks of pregnancy, weighing only 1 pound. "I wanted to do everything I could to become a mother," Mrs. Nash explained. "I was willing to try anything. So I climbed into bed, laid down, and didn't move for the next few hours. It was predicted that I would almost certainly lose him." Matilda was born in St. Mary's Hospital. Unfortunately for her parents, the little baby only lived for barely 19 hours. Shortly after her premature daughter died, Ruth was transferred to the Queen Alexander Hospital in Portsmouth. The young mom was hospitalized with an obligatory bed rest. The dedicated neonatal unit where she was admitted to later saw the birth of her son Stanley, 7 weeks after his sister. Stanley weighed less than a bag of sugar at birth. Doctors whisked him out to the maternity unit and was immediately placed on a ventilator. The little Stanley underwent multiple operations, including the repair of a hole in his heart, in addition to the correction of an eye disorder that can cause babies to go blind. Ruth and her husband Graham were both unable to hold their infant for the first 5 weeks of his life. Despite everything, the little Stanley was a tough fighter, and against all odds, he made it through. At 6 months old, the baby didn't show any signs of illness. The little boy didn't seem to have any repercussions due to his dramatic entrance into the world. His mom described the moment she was finally able to hold her son as the finest moment of her life. "Even though I've lost a kid, I believe I'm the luckiest lady on the planet. At this time, it was the most stressful 3 weeks we ever encountered." Mr. Nash further added that the previous few months had also been difficult. "The journey may have been quite torturous, but we're grateful to have arrived with a healthy and lovely son in our arms." Despite losing a child and knowing that their son had very slim chances of cervical cancer, Stanley's parents never gave up on their son, not even once. In another similar story of tiny babies, we bring you one of the world's smallest surviving babies. Before she was even born, the doctors predicted that she would be a petite child. After only 23 weeks and 3 days of pregnancy, the miracle girl was delivered by an emergency cesarean section. Her urgent birth was due to her mother suffering from preeclampsia, which is a potentially life-threatening illness that can cause a baby's growth to be stunted in the womb. Paul Wozniak was taken aback when he saw the baby he'd just delivered. "I was astonished," he says. As he later explained to the Washington Post, "I thought to myself, oh my God, I can't believe how small she is." Initially, physicians predicted that the baby would weigh around 400 grams or a little less than a pound, but she turned out to be even smaller than they had anticipated. Wozniak admitted that he was surprised by the size of the baby and couldn't believe she could survive with such a tiny body. The baby, who had been named Sabby by her nurses and doctors, was born weighing only 8.6 ounces, which made her the world's tiniest surviving infant at the time of her birth. Even though Sabby was actually a micro-preemie, which meant that she was a premature newborn born before 28 weeks, the little warrior survived. In spite of her small stature and a myriad of health issues that could be fatal for a premature infant, the preemie fighter made it through. Sabby's parents, who asked to remain anonymous, were finally able to take their healthy 5-pound infant home earlier this month after nearly 5 months in the neonatal critical care unit. Everything dates back to a cold winter day in December, when Sabby's mother began to feel unwell for no apparent reason. According to her, it was the most terrifying day of her life. According to a video published by the hospital on Wednesday, "I just felt quite uncomfortable and I wondered if this was a normal part of being pregnant at the time." Upon further examination, doctors determined that she had preeclampsia, which can result in very high blood pressure and can endanger both her and the baby. During a news conference on Wednesday, Dana Shortkoff, the OB-GYN who delivered Sabby, said that the mother had severely high blood pressure. The baby had to come out if her life was to be preserved. According to Wozniak, the national survival rate for kids born at the same period as Sadie is approximately 20%. According to the Washington Post, several studies from recent years have reported statistics that are equally depressing. At the time of her birth, back in December, Sadie wasn't even breathing, however, she did have a healthy heartbeat. Sadie's incredibly small size, which was partly caused by preeclampsia, made the little girl's position all the more difficult and delicate. He further added that the hospital had seen its fair share of 23-weekers who couldn't make it through as it was difficult to obtain equipment that was the correct size, he explained. The little girl was so small that even the built-in scales in the NICU resuscitation beds were unable to capture her weight, as they were unable to go below 300 grams. One of the first things that Wozniak and his team had to do was place a breathing tube in the hardly breathing preemie. The doctor explained that a straw around the size of a juice box straw needed to be shortened before it could be successfully inserted inside. Wozniak further explained that the little Sabby had been warmed up, dried up, and given medicine to help her breathe. The only thing left for them to do was to wait. "We didn't do anything but sit at her bedside for the next 6 hours, Wozniak said. Her odds of making it were, in my opinion, slim to non-existent. I told the family that I would inform them every hour, but there's a good probability that she's going to die," he concluded. When asked about it in the video, Sabby's mother said that she remembered physicians telling her husband that she would only have about an hour with her daughter before she passed away. Everyone kept telling them that her chances of survival were very slim and that they should expect her to pass away at any moment. But the hour became 2 hours and the day became a week. As Sadie's nurses and physicians watched her gradually improve and gain weight, they were increasingly concerned about the variety of life-threatening medical issues that micropreemies can encounter. Unfortunately, it is not uncommon for brain bleeds, lung problems, and even severe heart problems to arise. Despite all of the dangers involving her condition and her very low chances of survival, Sabby, and to everyone's surprise, had virtually none of the usual arising issues. According to the statement issued by the hospital, "She is a miracle. There's no doubt about it," Kim Norby, one of the NICU nurses who cared for Sabby, said in a video released by the hospital. Even though Sabby seems to have beaten the odds for the time being, Wozniak still believes that this may alter as she grows older. A lot of diseases and issues were still in sight. This included mild vision impairments, fine motor challenges, language delays in addition to other learning disabilities. But yet again, Sabby had already outpassed everyone's expectations and survived despite the odds. It's safe to hope that the little miracle would get over any health challenges she may encounter and live up beyond anyone's hopes.